Everybody, how you all doing? I hope your Friday is going well. I hope you've had a great Christmas and got great plans for the new year. I'm gonna go on and try to get started to do this again. The worst thing in the world is shooting a live and not having volume and having to shoot it again. So, but this is part of it, y'all. And I'm telling you, when you decide that you're going to do something, you just got to kind of hang in there. A lot of times things don't go the way that you want it to go, but you have to make it happen. But today we want to talk about the subject. This is This Week in Supervision. Of course, we talk about some of the subjects that we go over in supervision that might be helpful for you if you plan on running a group or something like that. Primarily we're trying to support individuals who are either looking for topics for supervision or looking to um, build their clinical competency, if that's possible from hearing me. So I want to get into right quick. Like we are having and I hope it's showing up on the screen. We are having a training coming January, a supervisor training. We hope for you to come and if you're looking to be a supervisor, come and join us. And that training is on January the 29th and the 30th. So come and check us out. We will be set up to give you what you need. We need to bring the new year in right. We need to be making plans to bring in extra income to be able to serve in a broader capacity. And social work supervision is a great way to do it. But let's get off of that. Also, I wanted to mention we do have so many events I can't keep up. We do have a free training coming up too that we would like for you to join. We'll put out some more information on that, and that will be on the 16th of January. Come check us out. Michael Porter will be presenting for us. And then we have another DSM training coming out February 16th from 9 to 12. On the 16th, on January 16th, the training with Michael Porter will be at 5:30. And then on February 16th from 9 to 12, we have the DSM training. And we hope to see you there for that. And then we're hoping it's running slow, but we're hoping if not by New Year or a little after New Year, we'll have a self-paced option as well for the DSM training. But let's get into the topic because the topic that we were talking about was pretty exciting for me to talk about. And this we talked about in most of our groups is social anxiety and understanding your client's greatest fear. And so I want to try to, oh my, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm having some weird things going on here. Okay. So my mouse wants to connect to this other computer, I guess. So I'm gonna have to cut it off. It's been a day, y'all. It has been a day. I didn't ask it to connect to this, but since I'm live, it wants to do that, and I don't know how to get it back on this one because it won't even let me do it manually. So give me a second, y'all. I'm gonna try to shut this other computer down and see if we can reconnect here. All right, here we go. All right, we're back. Sorry about that. Some of the tech stuff I've been dealing with. All right, so what we're talking about is social anxiety disorder, right? And how we navigate through that. And so a lot of times, what we will do is we will have a question, okay? And so I'm gonna bring up a question, and this is a question I posed to the group. What is 47? All right, 47. I posed to the group. And let's see if we can bring this up. We're gonna share the screen real quick. All right. Um, okay. And so here is the question. So when you're thinking about someone who has social anxiety disorder, what is the thing that they fear the most? Well, they fear other people or being around other people. Well, that's kind of right, but that's more on the surface. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to see that from an even deeper perspective. And this is kind of what we went over in supervision. So let's just go on and go with the question. It's a multiple choice question I came up with. Which type of situation is likely to provoke anxiety in someone with social anxiety disorder? A, being alone at home. B, attending family gathering. Or C, working on a solo project at work. D, giving a presentation in front of colleagues. So remember, when we're trying to answer these questions, we're looking for the best answer. Okay. And somebody might look, and so I'm going to go on and tell you what the answer is. The answer for this one is what is it? D, giving a presentation in front of colleagues. Now, some people might say, well, look, it's Christmas, and I know some of my clients and myself, I get a little bit anxiety or a lot of anxiety going around my family. Okay. And so that may be the case. I don't want to get off script. Okay. But that may be the case because family can bring a lot of trauma. We were just helping out with the homeless, and some guy was yelling, "I hate my mother." You know what I'm saying? Another guy I talked to, he was like, "Man, you really want to know how I'm doing?" I was like, "Yeah, how you doing?" He was like, "I feel like," like that. And then he started going into how his parents had abused him. So for someone like that, they might have a panic attack or might have some social anxiety concerns relative to that situation. But we're looking for the best answer. And generally, as a whole, giving presentations might be what someone might experience. But any of those answers, I would say, would be good. But we always have to choose one. All right. And so I also offered a little bit of a mnemonic. I always like to offer mnemonics to my client. I don't really like this one that much, but this kind of brings everything into perspective when I'm trying to do diagnosis. If I don't have a DSM handy, or if I need to kind of know if like this sounds like this, but I need to see about these symptoms. Sometimes if we have the symptoms in our head, it makes it quicker and we can start moving in the direction of knowing that this is looking like what we might be treating. And so here we have, it's sad is for social anxiety disorder. FACE is for fear or anxiety. A, avoidance. Avoidance is a big piece. C, critical evaluation. So someone who has social anxiety disorder, they may avoid situations that might bring about that fear. So they're definitely not going to want to do public speaking. They may not want to be around a lot of large groups and things like that, because sometimes they're having a critical view. And so to get back to the question, I think it's time to do that. To get back to the question, what is it that the person who has social anxiety is really fearing the most? Is it just the social situation? See, and this helps us with our questioning and treatment of the client. It's not just the social situation, but what is it about the social situation? Can't talk. What is it about the social situation? Well, they have a very significant or severe fear about what other people are thinking about them. It's not just being, oh, you're around, but they have pretty much a fear of scrutiny and negative judgment from others. So they may walk into the room and they're already automatically thinking about possibly negative things that people may be thinking about them, and that makes them anxious. Okay, that's what social anxiety is about. It's you're having a fear of scrutiny, is what the DSM says, right? So if we're having that fear, this is something that we want to keep in mind. It was something else I was wanting to say on that, but it is slipping my mind. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at. So we want to, if you look at the DSM, some of the things from this mnemonic, they really line up with the DSM description. Okay, we're talking about fear of scrutiny. We're talking about these fears. So to answer that question, what's the greatest fear that they really have? Evaluation. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Sometimes if I keep talking, it'll come back. That's just what I do. Sometimes I'm just rambling to get a thought back, but I want to lose it. So coming from the perspective of attachment, what we discuss is that a lot of times, if I'm trying to determine if someone who has social anxiety, what attachment style they may have, some things I want to keep at the top of mind. It's not an absolute, is that generally someone, because of the basis of what social anxiety is about, generally this person, this individual is going to not think so well about themselves. Okay. So that means they may not trust themselves. They may not have a belief in themselves. They're not they don't think that well about themselves, which means that knocks them off of at least two of the possibilities that we might be looking at when we're looking at attachment styles. Like, if they're avoiding, if they're dismissive, if they're fearful, if they're secure. The fact that they just really don't think much about themselves and not enough, because really the fear that they're having, this as a therapist, the fear that they're having about what other people are thinking about them is what? Fears that they have on their own. It's just put off on other people, but really you're not secure about this yourself. You're not that grounded in you that you are good, that you do have what's coming, to take, that you're not going to say something stupid, or that you don't look stupid. You actually think that you look stupid, or you'll say something stupid. That's what you feel. But because that's the way that you feel, then it's being projected to that other people might feel that way. And so part of our treatment is kind of getting down to the bottom of that. So that's what I wanted to say. Attachment, that helps us, because part of attachment is being secure in you and having security with how you feel about others in the environment. And so we got to take you off. That's a negative. You don't feel that good about yourself. So when we get into this, we want to be able to understand technique and no better other situation to understand it. Is it going to give me a tap? Let me see if I could just do it with this. I don't want to switch out of nothing the way the tech has been going. So we're going to go over some technique here, and we want to give credit to Dr. Ali.
Dr. Ali, what's the fastest?
Dr. Ali, let's see if I can pull this up. I'm sorry. Metu, I'm probably not saying that right, but he's really good. You all should check out his stuff. But let's check out this video, because how do you get down to supporting someone with social anxiety disorder? How do you help them to overcome? And so we're going to look at some technique that he does here. All right.
Fastest way I can overcome social anxiety disorder? Finish the sentence. Dr. Ali, what's the fastest way I can overcome social anxiety disorder? Finish the sentence. I'm afraid people will think I am weird. Let's pretend that's true. You're weird. What's difficult about that? No one will want to be around me. Ah, so you'll be rejected. Then what might happen? I'll be alone. The fastest way to overcome this core fear of being alone is to learn how to stay connected to people when you feel weird and are worried about being rejected. How do I do that? Exposure therapy, by intentionally putting yourself into situations where you feel weird, learning how to experience that anxiety in a healthy way, maintaining eye contact with others, getting feedback, and then repeating that whole process in other situations.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see.
Here's how social anxiety.
So let me stop that. So I love listening to Dr. Ali, because one thing about his approach is that he has experienced this himself. He has a history of social anxiety disorder, according to his account. And so he has even a deeper perspective. But what I want to do, if allowed here, I want to run through a little bit of the technique here. And what I was saying in the last live that didn't go live, that where I hope this one is actually going live. Like, man, if y'all have any examples of technique, I'm so into trying to learn technique, and I'm so into trying to support our therapists with teaching technique and understanding it themselves. And so this was really cool, just seeing this approach, and I want to break it down a little bit. Let's break it down, okay, in just like about 3 minutes. Let's see if we can do that in 3 minutes. All right, so let's look at Dr. Ali. Let's go back to what he actually did here. Okay, so
fastest way I can overcome social anxiety disorder. Finish the sentence. I'm afraid people will think I am weird.
Okay, boom. So that is a technique. I'm afraid people will think I'm weird. Okay. So the way, okay, let's just run that back one more time.
The sentence. I'm afraid people will think I am weird.
So I'm afraid, he opened it up, and this is what I like, because this is kind of like a client-centered ish type of approach, because the idea, and this is what I'll do with the supervisees, I ask them, who's client-centered? Who is the theorist for client center? And so then they'll say Carl Rogers or whatever. What did he believe in? Congruence, empathy, unconditional, empathetic understanding, unconditional positive regard. This is the kind of stuff we go over, and just to keep them fresh, keep me fresh too, right? So what he's doing is directing it. Instead of him assuming as the therapist that he understands what's going on, he asks him, he says, and I forgot what he said. I should have wrote it down. But he lets him fill in the blank, and we find out that the client's underlying feeling is that he might be deemed, or he may be thought by others to be weird. Okay. Okay. So that's the technique. We could use this in other ways too. So say that you have someone who's having some codependency concerns or something like that, and they feel like that they can't say no. And so you might say to them something like, well, I'm noticing you having some problems with saying no. Tell me a little bit about, like, if you said no, tell me, and you can fill in the blanks. If I say no, I fear that boom. Or if you're in a bad relationship, you're afraid to just to draw the boundary, or to leave the relationship. If I leave this relationship, I fear that boom. And so that's what he's doing. It's a little bit more, and we're going to.
Let's pretend that's true. You're weird.
Okay, let's pretend that's true. That's a whole nother technique right there. I hope some of y'all picking that up. What did he do when he said, let's pretend that you're weird? What he did was took the client from the anxiety provoking situation. He brought them right in there. He didn't even do it EMDR, nothing like that. He just took them right to the thing that they fear. The worst case scenario. A lot of times us as therapists, we're afraid to bring people to the worst case scenario, but a lot of times that's what we need to bring them to. The worst case scenario is that they think that I'm weird. So this person is thinking about that all the time, consciously and unconsciously. As a therapist, I want to put that to their conscious awareness and start to break it down. Okay, I want to break it down. I'm taking them to the worst case, because if we can get them to confront the worst case situation, then we're reducing the fear altogether. We don't have much of a problem. And even if we do have a problem, it's processed differently, and I'm not having the fear that's stopping my social, occupational, and interpersonal concerns. So he took them right over there. We do that. That it's almost like an exposure, okay, is what he's doing, right? And we'll talk
What's
about that.
difficult about that? No one will want to be around me. So you'll be rejected. Then what might happen? I'll be alone. The fastest.
So then now he's talking about rejection. So now that we have been able to establish some core beliefs here, okay, that I'm weird, that I'll be alone, that I'll be rejected. And so there's some core beliefs that lie behind that we're trying to discover. Okay. We're trying to discover, because these are things that the person believes negatively about themselves. They believe, a core belief is that I'm a weird person. Okay. And sometimes, anyway, let's go on.
The way to overcome this core fear of being alone is to learn how to stay connected to people when you feel weird and are worried about being rejected. How do I do that? Exposure therapy, by intentionally putting yourself into.
Okay, so basically he brings us to an evidence-based therapy. Usually it doesn't happen this fast, but sometimes it can. So usually it's not that simple, but sometimes it is. He brings us to an evidence-based therapy for social anxiety, which would be exposure therapy, which he's already exposing the person somewhat in the process of what he's doing to the fear. I'm going to stop. I'm already gone over time. I hope this one hits and is live. Y'all have a great weekend and a happy new year. I appreciate y'all supporting us here at Social Workers of Alabama. We'll see y'all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.